everyone, and welcome back to the Dice Tower. I'm Camilla.
I'm Mike.
And today we're going to be taking a look at a new core box for 20 Strong. This is going to be the Tanglewoods edition. So like I said, it's going to be a new core box here coming with the Tanglewoods red deck inside of it. So if you have played 20 Strong before, this is going to be different. If you haven't played, it's going to be a new jumping on point and have everything you need in this box. So let's go down to the table. I'm going to give a quick overview on how to play, general overview, high view, give you a feel of how the game is played, not a full teach. Then we'll come back up here and we'll let you know what we think. This 20 Strong core box Tanglewood is going to come with the red deck inside of it and everything you see here. It's going to come with 2 rule books, the general rules of play, which is in the core box here, and then the Tanglewoods red rules of play, which is what comes in this deck here of cards. The general rule of play is going to have a generic player aid on the back to help you understand all the iconography that you're going to see across the game, and then the Tanglewoods red rules of play is going to have the specific rules for this scenario, if you will. In this, and on the back, then it has the phases that you'll go through. So that's going to be really helpful as we go through this overview here. Again, just an overview, not a how to play. I'm not going to get into all the different rules, but just generally the flow of the game and what you can expect to see. So in Tanglewoods Red, you are going to be a fabled character here, trying to get from your house all the way to Grandma's house. Oops, I changed that. We're going to start with 2 health. So from your house on this card, going through this exploration deck or the forest deck here to try to get to your house. And you're going to play it over a number of rounds. If ever your health is reduced to 0, then you instantly lose. But if you get to Grandma's house, then you're going to reveal the big bad wolf and any power-ups, which are going to be part of his wolf pack that you do not take out on your journey. You'll reveal those and kind of go into the big battle here, the final battle, which if you take him out, then you win. So let's kind of go over what a round is going to look like and what you might expect on this path. Each round is going to start with an activation phase, and that activation phase is going to kick off with a exploration phase. That exploration phase is optional. You don't have to do it, but that's how you're going to scout the path ahead. If you were ever going to have to move off a card and there's not a path ahead already scouted, then you just have to blind draw. You don't see what's coming up, and it's going to go to its nighttime side, which is more difficult than its daytime side. So scouting ahead is going to help you kind of swing those odds in your favor and stay on the daytime part of the path and also be able to prep your path ahead. So let's say in this first round here that I do want to scout a little bit. I'm going to do the exploration or the exploring. When you do that, you can commit either blue or yellow dice, and you have to choose how many dice you want to commit. Let's say that I want to do 2 cards, so I'm going to go ahead and take 1 of each color. One at a time, you're going to roll those dice. Let's say I start with this one. A miss means a card is going to come out on its nighttime side. And so I would just put that one in there. The next one I would do, it's going to come out, it's a hit. So I would put it on its daytime side. If you ever get a crit, then you would also go to the daytime side and add a gold. After that, you're going to visit the merchant. And so you're going to reveal a number of cards from the merchant deck equal to the number of dice that you rolled. So in this case, 2. The merchant allows you to purchase any of these items that's revealed or do any number of other actions for a number of gold. So for example, I could spend 3 golds to recover the weakest banished dice. Through the game here, you're going to be banishing dice, and this is really the best opportunity you have to get those back. So if you ever want to kind of get your red die or beef up into higher level dice, beef your pool up a little bit, then you are going to need to visit the merchant. So let's say here that I want this axe early game, so I'm going to go down 8 gold. I spend the 8 gold, and I'm going to add that now to my inventory. I don't really want the book, so I'm just going to discard it to the side, and I'm down to 5 gold. I don't want to spend much more right now, so we'll just hold off on that. These dice are now exhausted, which means they are not part of my ready pool and cannot be used in my fighting. So let's go back to our player aid here. We have explored, we visited the merchant. Now we're going to go into the travel phase. When you go to the travel phase, you're going to have to choose a node ahead of you on the path to travel to, and it has to be on your path. So here I have 3 options, and we can see from the icons on it that they are all 3 of them are going to bring out one single baddie out here, but the 2 on the outside are going to have, if we look at this player aid here, No additional effect, they're just going to be a standard round. If I go to the middle one, I'm going to have to pay a toll. To pay the toll, I either banish any die, or I have to pay 2 gold. So I think I'm going to take that path because I really want to go to this node here next. Unfortunately, scouting ahead, that's also looking like I'm going to have to go to this one if I stay on that middle path. So this is kind of where you have to make that decision. Let's say that, I eventually want to make it up here to this campfire. I don't really want to fight, go through here where it's blighted, so the enemies are stronger and healthier. So I'm just going to go and have a normal phase this turn. I'm going to go over to this side. I'm going to reveal 1 enemy, so I've taken it here from my scouted ahead ones. I would pull that out into the active area. I'm going to pull these player aids back a little bit so we can see here. Pull it into the active area. I've pulled them all out, so now I'm going to re-scout that line and refill up to my strategy amount. So we have finished the travel phase, and the last part of this activation round is the bribery phase. This is where we can see these are the bad guys, in this case just 1, that we're going to have to fight this round, and we have an opportunity to bribe them instead. The bribery amount is going to be on the far right here, in this case 4. So I could pay 4 gold to discard him and not have to fight him. For the sake here, I'm going to go ahead and fight him, so I'm not going to bribe him. I'm just going to go into our next phase, which is going to be the engagement phase. If I had bribed him and would discard him, then we would skip this engagement phase because there are no baddies. In this case, I am going to fight him, so we go into that. The first thing you got to do is you have to commit your dice. I'm going to be able to do this phase a number of times up to my strategy amount, which is 2. So effectively, I will have 2 rounds to try to take out as many of these baddies as I can. He only has a health of 3, and I'm going to see here from his activation that purple dice cannot be rolled, committed, or used for effects. So I'm not going to be able to use my strongest dice against him. I'm going to go in and I'm just going to go, he's a 3, so I will commit, let's say 1 of each dice. So dice colors. So I'm going to go ahead and now go into the roll dice, and I got 1 hit. It's not looking so great, so I might want to go ahead for this second round that I have, go ahead and maybe commit my other blue one and see if I can get 2 more hits to take him out. And I actually got it. So I got a crit here, which is going to count for 2. So 2, 3, 4. So I have killed him with just that, and then these dice are wasted, if you will. So he is done. I immediately get the rewards at the bottom because it does have that lightning effect for immediate. So plus 4 gold. So I got that, and then I would turn him aside. And then if I did have more strategy left or more bad guys out here to fight, I could keep going. At this case, though, my strategy, I've done my 2 rounds as well. There's no one else to fight, so I'm done. We're going to go into the resolve phase at this point. We're going to suffer damage equal to their damage value for any of the baddies that you did not take out. You're going to do any after effects they would have. Exhaust all the dice that you used. And then we're going to recover the dice. To recover the dice, you look at your recovery value over here, in this case 2, and you get to bring from your exhausted pool back into your ready pool 2 dice. In this case, I took blue because those are the strongest dice in that exhausted pile, and I want to have my strongest dice available. Finally, we clean up. We're going to discard the baddie and move into another round. Once again, we would go into exploration. I'm going to skip it this turn because I don't feel like I need to scout anymore. And then we would do the travel phase, at which case I have to take this node here. We see from that background symbology that this one is a trap. I have to roll a blue dice. On a hit, recover up to 2 dice. So this is a great effect. I will do that. If it was a miss, I would have had to flip the current card to its nightmare side and do what's on the other side. In this case, we could see I would just have 1 baddie here. Going to that one, I'd have 1 baddie plus 2 more nodes, so that's a mob. And so I would actually be fighting 3 bad guys in this case. You're going to keep going through all these phases though. Advancing on the path, scouting on the path, fighting the baddies, recovering your dice, using your dice, all that up until you go through this entire exploration deck and you reach Grandma's house. Once you reach Grandma's house, then the big bad wolf is going to come out. He is going to come out with any power-ups of this wolf mob that you did not take out. You're going to take them out on some of these nodes would reveal them to be taken out. So you kind of might want to choose to go that path, that harder path sometimes, because if you make it to here, any that you did not take out, let's say we took out 2, come in as powers for him. Powers up for the big bad in that final round. He's also going to come in with 2 minions, so we would pull those out. And once again, we go through our rounds. So obviously we're not going to be exploring anymore, but we are going to be try to take out this big bad wolf. If you take him out at his full health of 9 here, then you win. If you're ever exhausted down to 0 health, then you lose. And that's going to be it for the Tanglewoods Red here. Let's jump back up top and we will let you know what we think. As far as production goes, I find this to be exactly as expected from Chip Theory Games. And I mean that as a high compliment.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're kind of known for their production quality amongst other things. And what's nice is that this is the product in their line that, outside of their kids' games, are the most reasonably priced, but you're still getting a really quality product for that.
Absolutely. You still get those custom dice, and it's not, they have that like glitter, that iridescent look to them. The plastic cards, the tuck box for the individual cards. It's very nice. So it's as expected from Chip Theory Games, and it's very durable. As far as this core box compared to the Sentinels core box, which is the original core box, I do find this to be a little bit step up in complexity.
Yes.
But I don't feel like that step up in complexity makes it necessarily unapproachable. I still think that this is a good jumping on point with that complexity.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's nice because, you know, all of these 20 strong games kind of follow the core system, right? It's more the 20 strong is like a system. This has the rules for that system, so as you said, if you've never played it before, you wouldn't really know any different. But this is a little bit more of a play on that system, which I'm going to talk about here in a little bit more, I think.
And I hadn't played the 20 strong in a while, so the Sentinels and that kind of first wave that came with that core box, I haven't played that in a while. So I did go through the diced tutorial that it does recommend. It has a QR code in here for, and I found that to be nice. It was a really good entry ramp. Entree. It would be
a delicious meal.
Entry ramp into the game. It did, I think, significantly extend the time of the teach. I mean, it took probably 40 minutes to feel like I was getting to my own turn in there, but it was very thorough, and I did know how to play at it. So just know that that's in there as well, and I think it does help as well for that first play. I think the theme is very strongly integrated into this as well. This is set in a fable world. You know, it starts with the Little Red Riding Hood comes in there, but of course, lots of fables. It's not just Little Red Riding Hood in this red deck. You have Thumbelina, you have the Brothers Grimm, a couple different characters, recognizable ones. But that theme is definitely Little Red Riding Hood going through the forest, and I think it is front and foremost in the gameplay.
It is, and it's also reinforced with the artwork, which is tremendous. Yes. It really kind of pulls you into that world with what is essentially, you know, a dice game. But when you have such evocative artwork, it kind of helps draw you in and makes you even feel more connected to what you're doing in the game. You had mentioned that it had been a while since you played the kind of the Sentinel set, and that's one that I started with. I started with that, and then played they had some IPs of their own that they did in the system, you know, Too Many Bones and Cloudspire and Hoplomachus Victorum, and all those were nice iterations, right? I was really impressed what they were able to do with this system. But I think with this one, this is really almost a reimagining of the 20 strong system. And I think that's why it's really smart that it became another core box, because it uses that core mechanism, right? It really doesn't change that. But wow, does this feel like a completely different experience with the same kind of core rules. I'm really impressed with that.
Absolutely. I think that it would have done the game a disservice if it was just its own standalone box. If the Tanglewood Red was it's just its own box. Because I can see friends that I would want to gift this to. But if I needed to gift it to them, I would also need to gift them the core box so that they have the dice and that stuff. But then I'd be gifting, be like, hey, don't play Sentinels, just jump into Tanglewood. You know, so I think it is different enough that it does stand alone as its own product. And I'm glad they made that decision to make it a core box.
Yeah, me too, sorry.
Yeah. No, go ahead, yeah.
I think my favorite thing that makes this kind of set apart from the other 20 strong games is I really like the idea of the gold, right? So you've got this bribing thing, which was never there before. I love that idea. It's basically this idea of, I don't want to deal with you right now, this enemy. So here, take a bit of gold, get out of my way.
Can you just mug me?
You're right. Exactly.
Just take it.
Here, just take some gold, be on your way. I'll probably see you later on down the path, but I don't want to deal with you right now. And then incorporating that also as a way to buy things from the merchant, that's also new. I just think that works really well. And then the whole kind of path building, that's another thing that's unique. They kind of toyed with that a little bit in some of the earlier games, but this is very much its own beast, so to speak.
It's very front and center in this one, some of those mechanisms, and I like that. It almost makes it feel more like a roguelike video game.
Oh, yeah.
You know, just having that little path and which way do you want to go, and you don't have to scout, but it's really advantageous to. And I like the asymmetry of the characters as well, how now you're flipping it. I didn't show that in the overview, but the characters have their own special ability.
Yeah.
And that just, I think it just really brings, I don't want to say bring life to 20 Strong, but it definitely feels like it is a little bit bigger of a game now without increasing the box size, by barely taking the complexity up a little bit and just really staying true to the theme that Ship Theory does so well.
Yeah, to kind of piggyback on what you're saying, like I think the word that comes to mind is it brings personality to the game.
Personality, yes.
Yeah, you know, more than even in the other ones. I think Too Many Bones had a bit of that, but really only if you were familiar with that game. Here, you don't have to really be familiar with 20 Strong at all. You kind of have, these are more things that we've all kind of grown up with, some of these, fables. So, and the personality is very, very strong in the game.
I think that's a perfect word for it, the personality, because it felt like the Too Many Bones and the Hoplomachus and those, which I very much like those as well, they felt like homages to the game almost, you know, and you could play them without knowing the games, but that background knowledge enhanced it. There isn't background knowledge, you know. I mean, it's just, do you know these, and you're just immersed in this forest. So I really like that. Anything else that you want to go over before we jump into final thoughts here?
The only other thing I'd mention is I really love the idea of the daytime and nighttime.
That's great.
Aspect. You know, it's just a really neat way to deal with difficulty, right? You know, and you can have multiple, and the way they describe it is, hey, look, you're in a dream forest. You know what I mean? You'll go from day to night and night to day. Just that's the way it goes. So I like that too.
I like that it also can change as you're playing. There's different effects. Like if you go on this way, then you're going to have to roll a die, and it might flip to night. You know, you don't know what's going on. I like that it's a very, almost kind of phantasmagoric, right?
Yeah, really.
World as it's going. It's fun. So, all right, well, final thoughts here. I'll start unless you feel strongly. Okay.
Have at it.
I do feel strongly about this. I very, very much like this. I'm going to come down at a 9. I gave the 20 Strong original one an 8.5, so that was also a seal of excellence. But I think that this just absolutely steps up that thematic integration. It steps up that tension on your turn when, am I going to banish the dice, taking them out of my pool permanently? What do I want to do with the merchant? Am I going to use the merchant to beef up my skill set and get these items? Or am I going to do it to get those banished dice back and try to reset my pool? There's just a couple more decision points in this that doesn't make it feel as lucky, and really also sells the theme and immerses you at the same time, which is really impressive in such a small little package. So I really think that they have stepped up the game with this one. With that, again, I'm saying this again, the complexity is stepped up a little bit as well, but having the dice system and having the 2 different rule books with the 2 different player aids on the back, I really think that they knocked this one out of the park.
I don't have much to add to that. That was a very nice and concise way to bring up a lot of what I felt. The way I felt it. I'm also at a 9, and because that had that 8.5 baseline on a lot of those earlier ones, and like I said, I think this is a reimagining of the system. I think that the changes they've made are all good. I love this new world, and you may see more reviews further on down the line of other Tanglewoods games because they were kind of released together, so to speak. So I'm excited to see them continue on with this. I hope they do continue on with this kind of storyline, so to speak. I think it is excellent. 9 for me as well.
Guys, that is a seal of excellence here at the Dice Tower for Tanglewoods. I'm sorry, 20 Strong Tanglewoods, specifically talking about the core box here. Thanks for joining us. And hey, stay tuned. Like Mike said, we have the other decks as well. We have the gold and the white.
Pink.
Pink, there it is. The pink as well that we're playing through and hope we'll be able to talk
I think it's called Rose.
Rose.
I think it's actually. I think it is.
Right. Yeah. So stay tuned. But until then, I'm Camilla.
I'm Mike.
And we'll see you in the forest.
Bye.